It was my birthday. My childhood fiancé showed up late, with the new girl on his arm, wearing the scarf he bought for me. She looked cold, he said. So I let her borrow it. Took it back, and tossed it straight into the trash. That should have been the end. But he let her take my place over and over. My table. My space. My silence. Until I stood up and said, "Keep the girl. Keep the drama. I'll keep my dignity. I'm not the one who lost." He did. There's something about birthdays that makes you hope for magic even when you know better. I sat at the edge of my perfectly decorated classroom, watching as students milled around, the soft glow of fairy lights bouncing off the crystal cake stand on my desk. Everything was coordinated. The orchids flown in from Amsterdam, the pastries from that viral patisserie in New York. Even my powder blue dress chosen to match the shade Noah once said brought out my eyes. My friends were chatting, laughing, sneaking pictures with the dessert table. My desk mate leaned over, giving me a conspiratorial nudge. "Noah's probably late because he's planning something big," she whispered. "He always gets this panicked look around your birthday. Like he's scared of disappointing you." I gave a tight-lipped smile and checked my watch. This was our 6th birthday together, or at least mine. His came later in the fall. But ever since we were 12, Noah Bennett had been a permanent fixture beside me. My fiancé by arrangement and for a long time by choice. Today though something felt off. I stood to stretch my legs, barely taking a step when the door to the classroom burst open. Finally, Noah walked in, tall and effortlessly elegant in his gray blazer. His signature tousled hair had that just woke up its perfect look that fashion magazines loved. In his arms was a bouquet of Dutch orchids, matching my dress to the exact hue. He'd remembered. I felt my chest loosen. Then I saw her. Trailing behind him was a girl I didn't recognize. Almost delicate. She had a sheepish smile and nervous energy, like she was trying hard not to make noise with her steps. Around her neck, fluttering like a flag in the wind, was a Burberry scarf. My Burberry scarf. Noah's gift. The one he'd chosen personally 3 weeks ago and said, "This reminded me of you the second I saw it." Soft but bold. "Hey Ava," he said, smiling brightly as he walked over. "Sorry I'm late. Ran into Bella on the way here. She wasn't dressed warmly so I let her borrow your birthday gift." I blinked. He said it like he expected me to be proud of him. Like lending out my present to a girl I'd never met was somehow chivalrous. I took the scarf from around Bella's shoulders, still warm from her body, and held it carefully. There was a faint pink smear near the edge. Lipstick. Her lipstick. Everyone watched, sensing the tension. I smiled politely. And then I turned to the side, and dropped the scarf into the trash can. A beat of stunned silence followed. Bella froze, her smile faltering. My desk mate gasped. Noah's expression flickered with something unreadable. "Ava." I looked up at him, feigning innocence. He cleared his throat. "I thought." I cut him off by turning to my desk and casually arranging the orchids he'd brought. Bella gave a quiet, embarrassed laugh like she was trying to smooth it over. "I didn't mean to, I just wasn't dressed warmly." "And Noah, I mean Mr. Bennett?" I turned slowly toward her. She stopped speaking. "My name's Bella Morgan," she finally said, stepping forward with what she must have thought was a disarming smile. "I just transferred here. Sorry for, crashing your birthday." There was something in her tone that grated on me. Too sugary. Too perfect. "Our homeroom teacher mentioned a top student was transferring in," my desk mate whispered, leaning close again. "From some poor rural county, remember? It's probably her." I raised an eyebrow. Of course it was. I looked at Noah, silently asking for an explanation. This was supposed to be my day. Why had he brought someone unrelated, uninvited, and wrapped in my gift? "She hadn't seen much of the city before," Noah said, setting the flowers on my desk. "When she found out it was your birthday, she wanted to come send her well wishes. I figured it'd be fine." My heart squeezed for a second. Because that wasn't Noah. The Noah I knew, the Noah who was cold to everyone but me, didn't go around playing host to strangers. That was always what made me feel secure. No matter how many girls tried to get close, he never entertained them. But now he'd made an exception. For her. Noah's brows drew together as he glanced at the trash. "Ava," he said again, softly this time. There was restraint in his voice. As if he wanted me to back down. But I wasn't backing down. Not today. I can do whatever I want with my gift, I replied sharply. I thought it was dirty, so I threw it away. Then I turned to Bella, tone icy. And as for you, you can leave now. We're not close enough for you to be at my party. Tears welled up in her eyes. She looked toward Noah like she expected him to defend her. He didn't. Instead, he gave me a tired smile and reached for my hand. All right, princess, he murmured. It's your birthday. You're in charge. I let him pull me close, but my eyes didn't leave Bella. She turned slowly and walked out, stiff and silent. But I didn't miss it, the subtle glance Noah gave her as she passed. It twisted something in my stomach. I pulled away from him abruptly. You all go ahead, I said lightly. I need some air. I didn't wait for a response. The hallway was quiet, sun pouring through the tall windows. I stood by the staircase trying to breathe through the knot building in my chest. It was just a scarf. Just a girl. Just a misunderstanding. Right? Except he'd never done this before. Never treated anyone else like this. So why now? Footsteps behind me. I didn't have to turn to know who it was. Noah slid his blazer off and draped it gently over my shoulders. You okay? I said nothing. He sighed. Can you believe it? He asked softly. There are people who've never even had a birthday cake before. Bella's one of them. She told me she's never celebrated a single birthday. So you brought her to mine? I asked, still not looking at him. She asked me if she could tag along, and I just couldn't say no. His voice dropped lower, more tender. Ava, the only difference between us and her is the family we were born into. Was it really necessary to embarrass her like that? I turned to face him. You think I embarrassed her? I asked, incredulous. You gave her my birthday present. You brought her here without even telling me. Did you think I'd just clap and say thank you? He flinched. I didn't mean it like that. Then what did you mean, Noah? He looked genuinely caught off guard. It's just a scarf, he said finally. You have more than you could ever wear. I thought you'd understand. I do understand, I said bitterly. That you thought I wouldn't mind being replaced. Ava, no. He reached out again, adjusting his jacket around my shoulders. I'll get you a better gift. Anything you want. Just don't be mad anymore. And as for her, I won't get involved again. You're my fiancé. I won't forget that. His words hung between us. Earnest. Maybe even sincere. And for a moment I believed him. We'd grown up together. Shared memories. Shared future plans. Something this small shouldn't be enough to break it. So I nodded quietly. But I should have known. The next time Bella Morgan walked into my life, she wouldn't come in wearing my scarf. She'd come in wearing his heart. By Monday, the scarf incident was nothing more than a ripple in the school gossip pool. But the strange thing about ripples? They always circle back. When Bella Morgan walked past me in the hallway that morning, she looked smaller, more cautious. Like someone who'd been properly scolded. Her eyes flicked up at me, and for a second I thought she'd avoid my gaze. But she didn't. Instead, she gave me a soft, demure smile. There was pride buried in it. Barely visible. But it was there. My steps slowed. Something in my gut tensed. Not fear exactly, more like anticipation. Like when you see storm clouds building over clear skies. Something was coming. I just didn't know what yet. At lunch, that something became clear. Bella walked into tennis class wearing a full matching set from C++, the newest luxury activewear brand that hadn't even hit store shelves yet. I knew because I'd pre-ordered the set 2 weeks ago and hadn't received the shipping confirmation yet. Gasps and exclamations rippled through the class. Girls crowded around her, some snapping photos. Is that the limited release? One of them asked breathlessly. Oh my God, where'd you get it? Said another. Bella flushed, acting shy. A friend gave it to me. A friend. I didn't need a name. She glanced in my direction when she said it. I know I'm new here, Bella continued, voice soft and oh so modest. I don't come from a family like yours. But my friend told me I deserved nice things, that I should never let other people's opinions affect how I see myself. There it was again, her voice full of honey coated in righteousness, her words digging at me without ever saying my name. The crowd murmured in agreement. A few nodded along, clearly enchanted by her humble confidence. I sat on the bench, arms crossed. Unimpressed. There's a saying Grandpa always told me, Dogs bark when they see something they can't reach. I decided to treat her words exactly like that, barking. Still, when Bella turned and looked right at me with a half smile, like she'd scored some invisible point, I had to admit she was good. But not good enough. Coach blew the whistle. Pair up. The girls buzzed and Bella looked around uncertainly. She wasn't quick enough to read the room. Everyone who had fawned over her moments ago now gave polite excuses and drifted away. Sorry, our group's full, one girl said coolly. Others turned their backs. Bella stood there, awkward and alone, her glittery headband catching the sunlight. The moment she opened her mouth earlier, she'd exposed herself. She didn't belong. They only admired her because they thought she might be rich. Now that they knew she wasn't, the illusion shattered. Coach clapped again. We need one more for pair court. I raised my hand. I'll take her. Bella's head snapped up. A ripple of laughter went through the group. I walked toward her slowly, my tennis racket swinging lightly at my side. Bella bit her lip and tried to straighten up, but I could see the tension in her shoulders. We stepped onto the court. I bounced the ball once, then raced my racket. The serve flew fast, not aggressive but sharp enough to make her flinch. She squeaked and ducked, barely avoiding it. A few students stifled laughter. I dropped my racket to my side, unimpressed. So this friend of yours, did they just give you clothes? Or did they forget to teach you how to play too? Bella crouched, her face burning red. Her lips trembled. She didn't answer. That's enough, Ava. I turned, startled. Noah stood on the sidelines, dressed in gym whites, frowning. His voice wasn't loud, but it carried weight. I hadn't even noticed him arrive. He walked over to Bella and gently helped her up. You okay? She sniffled and nodded, clearly trying not to cry. I wasn't playing well, she whispered. I must have embarrassed Ava. Noah smiled at her. Everyone has a first time. When I first started, I was just the guy picking up balls for Ava. Bella laughed through her tears, her fingers brushing his arm in that casual, calculated way girls used when they wanted to blur boundaries. My jaw clenched. I stood there watching them. They looked like the classic tale, a popular boy being kind to the new girl. But the audience wasn't fooled. A few of our classmates watched in silence, awkwardly exchanging glances. I walked away without a word. That night after dinner, I sat in bed scrolling through messages when one of my friends sent me a screenshot. Even difficult things feel simple with your patient guidance. Thank you for showing me so many new and exciting things. Bella Morgan social feed. A low-angle shot of Bella smiling sweetly, fingers forming a heart next to her cheek, gazing up at someone holding a phone. Only the arm was visible, but I knew that watch. Knew that wrist. Noah. My thumb hovered over the screen. I closed the app. Blocked her. And then one by one I blocked the mutual friends who had commented things like, "You two look so cute." Or, "Is that Noah?" Me smiling face with hearts. It didn't matter if they meant well. Loyalty was never about intention. The next day I arrived at the second-floor kitchen, a private dining space Grandpa had designed for me at school after my health scare last year. It was where I ate alone or sometimes with Noah. Mr. Lee greeted me with a respectful nod and presented the day's customized meal. Just as I was about to sit down, the door creaked open. Noah walked in. Belle followed. My hands froze mid-air. Mr. Lee glanced between us, already picking up on the shift in atmosphere. Could you serve 2 more plates? Noah asked. Mr. Lee looked at me. Waited. I didn't respond. Noah turned to me. I just finished tennis with Bella. The cafeteria's out of food. I figured since I'm always up here I could bring her too. Just for today. My voice was calm. Mr. Lee, you can clock out now. He nodded. Understood, Miss Sinclair. Bella stepped forward, panic written all over her face. Ava, if you're mad, be mad at me, she said quickly. Don't punish Noah. He just didn't want me to starve. He used a lot of energy teaching me tennis. I stared. Move. Her eyes widened. Instead she grabbed my arm. Please, Ava, I'm begging you. The tray in my hands tilted. It slipped. Crush. Dishes shattered. Food spilled down my clothes. The room went silent. Bella froze, horror spreading across her face. Then she had the audacity to say, even if you're upset, you didn't have to waste food like that. Farmers work so hard. I laughed. Out loud. Disbelief and rage boiling together in my chest. You yanked my arm and now you're pretending I did it on purpose? Bella's tears came on cue. My family were farmers. How could I ever? Are you trying to make me call the cops for assault? I snapped. That's when Noah finally spoke. Ava, what happened to you? He looked at me like I was the villain. You're so aggressive. So self-righteous. You don't feel like the person I used to know. Before I could answer, a familiar voice rang from the doorway. Noah, it's been a few years, huh? You're not the person I used to know either. In fact, I'm starting to wonder if you've gone blind. We turned at the same time. Leaning against the doorframe with arms crossed and that same irritatingly smug expression was Leo Carter. He'd grown taller, stronger, handsomer somehow. His presence filled the room like he owned it. I blinked, stunned. Noah, he said with a tilt of his head. Did you really bring a new girl into your fiancé's private dining room and expect applause? Noah's eyes narrowed. Leo, this doesn't concern you. Leo shrugged, then turned to me with that crooked grin. Ava, it's been a long time. You gonna treat me to lunch or what? For the first time that day I smiled. There's something uniquely insulting about being treated like the unreasonable one in a room where you've already been disrespected. And Noah had just made a career out of it. Don't punish Noah, Bella had said, eyes shining with tears that looked too perfectly balanced in her lashes. He just didn't want me to starve. He used a lot of energy teaching me tennis. I hadn't responded. I was too busy trying to keep my fury from boiling over and turning into something that would stick to me more than it ever would to her. I had the tray in my hand. Lunch, hand-prepared by Mr. Lee, who cooked only for me. A meal crafted from recipes my mother once loved. And then she touched me. Bella Morgan grabbed my wrist, trembling like a rabbit. Please, Ava. I'm begging you. Just let Noah eat, okay? Her fingers shook my arm with more force than her size suggested. My tray jolted, tilted. And in one swift, stupid moment, crush. The porcelain shattered against the tile. Rice and soup splattered up my legs. A streak of miso marked the front of my cream skirt. Gasps echoed behind me. Bella's hand flew to her mouth in theatrical horror. Oh my God, she breathed, backing up. Ava, even if you were angry, you didn't have to waste food like that. I stared at her. A second passed. Then another. And then I laughed. Not the cute, controlled laugh they teach you in etiquette class. No. This one was sharp. Broken at the edges. Unfiltered. Did you seriously just say that? I asked. You yanked my arm. I lost control of the tray. And now you're pretending I did it. Bella's eyes welled again. My family were farmers. Do you know how hard it is to grow that rice? How could you say that about me? I narrowed my eyes. Oh, that's rich. I could barely get the next words out through the rage. Are you trying to paint me as the villain in your sob story? The poor farmer girl humiliated by the rich heiress? Is that what this is? Noah stepped forward. Ava, he said sternly. That's enough. I turned slowly toward him, blinking. He looked disappointed. Like I'd embarrassed him. You're being so aggressive, he said. So self-righteous. You don't even feel like the person I used to know. The words hit harder than I expected. For a second I just stood there stunned. Until another voice cut through the tension. I could say the same about you, Bennett. All heads turned. Leaning against the kitchen doorway was Leo Carter. Sleeves rolled up, shirt slightly wrinkled, posture relaxed like he owned the place. He looked at Noah like he was nothing more than an annoying fly. Noah, Leo said, voice low and laced with amusement. It's been a few years, huh? You've changed so much, I'm starting to wonder if you've gone blind. Noah stiffened. Leo. I mean it, Leo continued, pushing off the frame and strolling inside. What kind of guy brings another girl into his fiancé's private dining room and expects a round of applause? Bella flinched beside him. I didn't mean. Leo ignored her entirely and locked eyes with me. Ava Sinclair, he said, grinning. You gonna feed me or what? I've been back 3 days and still haven't had a proper welcome. Noah looked like he'd swallowed a lemon. I didn't hesitate. I stepped over the mess of broken porcelain, walked past Bella, past Noah, and right to Leo's side. What do you want to eat? I asked, my voice sharp and sweet at once. Leo's grin widened. Anything as long as I'm sitting next to you. Behind me, Noah's voice cracked. You're seriously going out to eat alone with him? I turned back and found Bella staring at me with wide, wounded eyes, fingers clutched around Noah's sleeve like she belonged there. And he let her. Of course he did. I didn't answer. I didn't owe them one. Leo and I ended up at a nearby hot pot restaurant. A quiet corner booth where the air smelled of simmering broth and sesame oil. He ordered enough food for 4 people and ate like someone who hadn't seen a vegetable in 3 years. You're going to choke, I said laughing. I've missed this, Leo said between bites. In the UK, everything's boiled to death. No spice. No garlic. No soul. I smiled, pouring tea into both our cups. Glad you're back, I said quietly. Leo slowed his chewing. You mean that? I looked up. I do. He wiped his mouth with a napkin and leaned forward, serious for once. Ava, have you ever considered me? I blinked. What? I'm just saying, he shrugged, suddenly nervous. A rare man with no emotional baggage is hard to find. I stared at him. You're saying you have no baggage? He straightened his spine. I'm saying, I've always liked you. I raised a brow. Leo. I'm serious. You also once told me you liked durian pizza. He winced. Don't bring that up. I was 13 and misguided. I rolled my eyes and sipped my tea. Still, his words lingered in my mind on the way back to school. So when Noah caught up to me outside the gate, I wasn't surprised. He was waiting, storm-eyed, stiff, and clearly not here to chat politely. Ava, he said, grabbing my wrist, how could you go out to eat alone with him? I yanked my arm free. Oh, and when you were personally teaching Bella how to play tennis. When you gave her my scarf. My food. My space. Were you unaware of her intentions? His face darkened. There's nothing going on between us, he said. Bella's just like a little sister. My mom used to tutor her. She got kicked out of her home and I felt responsible. That's all. Right? I said coldly. So you decided to play knight in shining armor by trampling my boundaries. You're overreacting, he said. No, Noah. You're underthinking. He stepped forward, lowering his voice. Come on, Ava. Don't be like this. It's not worth ruining everything we have. Before I could respond, Leo strolled up behind me. Emma, he said lightly, I finished registration. Want me to walk you in? Noah's face tightened. Leo, he growled, if you keep harassing my fiancée. Fiancée. Leo echoed, amused. Is that what you're still calling her? Bella appeared again as if summoned by drama. Ava, she said, trying to sound righteous, how could you do this to Noah? He cares about you so much and you're out here being touchy-feely with another guy. Leo gave her a blank stare. Touchy-feely? So, what was that thing I saw earlier? A homewrecker and mistress arrangement. Bella's face turned crimson. I wasn't, she stammered. Yeah, Leo said dryly. Sure. That was the last straw for Noah. He grabbed Bella's hand. Let's go, he said. As they passed, he turned to me, his voice low and warning. Ava, if you do this again, our family's engagement may not hold. I stared after him. Just before they disappeared around the corner, Bella looked back. Her eyes were red, her expression wounded. But beneath it, buried in the corners of her lips, was the same smug satisfaction I'd seen that first day. Like she'd won. I stood frozen for a moment. Then Leo stepped beside me. That White Lotus act she's pulling, he muttered. Top tier. I let out a breath I hadn't realized I'd been holding. I'm going home, I said. Want company? No. But, cover for me. Leo nodded without hesitation. Grandpa Sinclair was in the garden when I arrived. He looked up, saw my face, and immediately put down the watering can. Ava, what's wrong? Are you unwell? I'm fine, Grandpa, I said. I just need to talk to you. He pulled off his gloves and led me to the patio bench. Go ahead, he said gently. I looked down at my hands. I don't want to go through with the engagement to the Bennett family anymore. The words came out in a rush, but once they were spoken, I felt lighter. Freer. To my surprise, Grandpa didn't look shocked. He smiled. Our family doesn't rely on marrying off daughters to maintain our legacy, he said calmly. If you've been hurt, then the engagement doesn't need to stand. Tears stung the corners of my eyes. I'll talk to the Bennetts, he added. And for the record, you'll inherit the Sinclair group whether you're married or not. That was always your mother's wish. I leaned into his side, heart pounding with emotion. Thank you, Grandpa. The first time I ever truly tasted freedom was over a bowl of spicy broth and marinated beef. I sat across from Leo Carter at a hole-in-the-wall hot pot place, the kind of restaurant I wouldn't usually step into, the kind without gold-trimmed napkins or curated ambience. But tonight it felt perfect. He ate like he hadn't touched food in weeks. Slow down, I laughed, swatting his chopsticks. You're not in a survival challenge. I might as well be, he mumbled through a mouthful. You know how bad the food is in the UK? I've been craving this since I stepped off the plane. I watched him with quiet amusement. His hair was messy, his sleeves were rolled up, and there was chili oil on the corner of his mouth. Somehow he still managed to look good. So, I asked, stirring the pot, why did you come back now? Not that I'm complaining. Leo wiped his mouth, leaned back, and gave me a look, the kind that made your stomach twist a little. To be honest, he said. Because of you. I raised a brow. You came back for me? He shrugged. I heard things weren't going well between you and Bennett. Who told you that? Mutual friends, he replied, nonchalant. And I kept an eye on your post. The silence said more than any caption could. I said nothing. A flicker of heat passed through my chest. Leo sat up a little straighter, his gaze unwavering. Ava, have you ever considered me? My fingers froze on the chopsticks. What? I mean, I've always liked you. Even when we were kids, even when you were clearly already spoken for. You were kind of impossible not to like. I blinked. Leo. He grinned. Look, I know I don't have the cleanest record. I used to eat ketchup on rice and wear mismatched socks. But I've grown up. Got taller, got smarter. Still single. And honestly, rare men with no baggage are hard to find these days. You're unbelievable. He chuckled. I'm serious. If you ever get tired of being treated like a second option, you know where to find me. Back at school, I didn't expect Noah to be waiting. But he was. Right at the gate, leaning against his car, hands shoved in his pockets like he had something important to say. His hair was a mess. His jaw was tight. Ava, he said the moment he spotted me. We need to talk. I stopped walking. Say what you need to say. He stepped closer, lowering his voice. You and Leo. What's going on? I tilted my head. Are you asking because you care or because your ego's bruised? His expression hardened. I'm asking because you're my fiancé. Not for long, I said. He froze. I haven't forgotten what you said, Noah. That if I kept doing this, our engagement might not hold. So I've made it easy for you. I'm ending it. Don't be ridiculous. I'm not. I'm done. His nostrils flared. You're throwing everything away, for him? I crossed my arms. I'm walking away because you stood by while someone else insulted me, disrespected me, manipulated me, and you let it happen. Again and again. Before he could respond, a familiar, syrupy voice chimed in behind him. Ava. Well, I should have known she wouldn't be far. She came running up, breathless, lips glossy and pink, wearing a flouncy new dress and clutching Noah's jacket like a prized possession. You can't do this, she said. Noah's only been trying to help me. You're blowing this all out of proportion. I turned to her, jaw tight. You want to keep pretending to be innocent? You want to keep hiding behind his kindness like it's your birthright? Fine. Then I raised my hand. Thup. The sound echoed. Her cheek turned a flaming red. Gasps filled the air around us as students passing by stopped in their tracks. Bella stumbled back, eyes wide in shock, one hand covering her face. What are you doing? She shouted. What I should have done days ago. Noah grabbed my arm. Ava, stop. I yanked it free. Don't touch me. His face turned pale. You've really changed. No, Noah, I said coldly. You just never bothered to see who I was. You liked the version of me who waited quietly, who forgave easily, who endured everything as long as you stayed. He said nothing. From now on, I choose myself, I continued, voice steady. And I'm ending the engagement. Tell your parents. I'll tell mine. Bella looked from me to Noah, blinking rapidly, clearly realizing this hadn't gone the way she planned. I turned and walked away. Leo found me in the garden that evening, seated on the low stone bench beneath the cherry blossoms. You slapped her? He asked, a little too gleeful. She deserved it. Damn right she did. He sat down beside me, not too close but close enough that I could feel his warmth. You're really going through with this? He asked. I already did. Leo leaned forward, elbows on his knees. So, what happens next? I stared out at the fading light between the trees. I guess I take back my life. He grinned. You'll need someone by your side for that. I gave him a sideways glance. Volunteering. He didn't answer with words. Instead, he reached out slowly, brushing his pinky against mine. A small gesture, but enough to make my heart skip. I'm here, he said simply. And somehow that meant everything. They say a man doesn't know what he's lost until it walks away. And I didn't just walk. I slammed the door behind me, turned off the lights, and built a whole new life without him. But of course, Noah Bennett wasn't the kind of man to give up easily. Not because he loved me, but because he never believed I'd be the one to end it. 3 days had passed since I publicly called off our engagement. I expected silence from him, maybe even a sense of relief. Instead, I came home from school to find a message waiting on my phone. Ava, I didn't mean what I said. I was just angry. Let's talk. I deleted it. Then another. Please. Just 5 minutes. We've built a life together. You can't throw it away like this. I didn't respond. Later that night, my housekeeper informed me there were flowers, dozens of them, lining the front gate. Orchids again. The same ones he gave me every year. I told her to throw them all away. But Noah still didn't stop. It wasn't until I was walking to the Sinclair Group's headquarters with Grandpa for my first official day of training that I saw him again, parked across the street, his driver idling as he stepped out of the back seat holding yet another bouquet. Noah, I said the moment I saw him. I don't have time. I just need 5 minutes. You've already had years. Grandpa raised a brow, clearly unamused. Should I leave you two to talk? No, I said. He'll be gone in 30 seconds. Noah looked almost desperate. That rattled me more than I expected. Ava, he said, stepping forward. I made a mistake. I let Bella get between us. I let my pride get in the way. But I promise you she's gone. I sent her away. I folded my arms. You didn't send her away because you realized she was manipulative. You sent her away because you lost. That's not true. Then what is? I asked. You let her into every space that belonged to me. My scarf. My table. My life. And when I stood up for myself, you made me the villain. His jaw clenched. I only did that to make you jealous. I thought you didn't care anymore. You thought humiliating me would reignite something? He looked down, ashamed. Grandpa stepped forward then, his voice sharper than usual. Noah, he said. Our families have shared history, but that doesn't mean my granddaughter is yours to mishandle. I never meant to hurt her. But you did, Grandpa said. And you did it in front of people. Publicly. Repeatedly. That kind of damage leaves stains, son. Ones that don't wash out. Noah's eyes widened slightly. You're not going to reconsider the engagement? I already told the Bennetts, Grandpa replied. It's over. The finality in his voice cut like a guillotine. Noah stared at me helpless. Ava, don't do this. If not for us, then for the company. I held up a hand. Don't you dare. The Sinclair Group doesn't need you. His mouth opened then closed. As he knew I was right. Inside the boardroom, Grandpa introduced me to the top executives. All older men in crisp suits who shook my hand politely but cautiously. I could feel their eyes measuring me. Too young. Too emotional. Too untested. But I also saw something else. Recognition. I looked like my mother. Everyone said so. By the end of the day, I had reviewed quarterly reports, met department heads, and sat through a painfully dry legal compliance meeting. And somehow I loved it. Felt like something real. Something mine. Leo waited for me outside in his usual casual clothes, tossing a bottle of peach soda in the air. How was the world of adult responsibility? He asked. I'm being trained to wield power worth billions, I said. And I've never wanted anything more. He offered me the drink. You looked like a CO already. Intimidating and icy. Very don't mess with me. I laughed, cracking open the bottle. Thanks, I think. He leaned against the car beside me. So what's next? I take my place. Leo tilted his head. And what about me? Do I get a place beside you? I looked at him, the playful light in his eyes, the way he didn't try to tame me or guilt me or shrink me to feel tall. I think you already have it, I said. He blinked. Wait, was that a yes? It was a tentative, maybe turning into a very probable yes. Leo beamed. You sure? I stepped closer. You were there when no one else was. You believed me without proof. You stood by me when everything fell apart. If that's not what a partner is, I don't know what is. He grinned and dramatically held out his hand. Then may I have the honor of walking beside you, Miss Sinclair, as you take over the world? I took his hand. And for the first time in a long time, I didn't feel like someone's possession. I felt like a queen. Later that evening, I found myself back in the garden with Grandpa. He was watering the gladiolus again, same spot, same methodical care. You're quiet tonight, he said. I made it through my first board meeting without snapping, I replied. That counts as a win, right? He chuckled. You're becoming more like your mother every day. She had fire. And spine. But most of all, she had vision. She didn't need anyone to stand beside her. She had your father, he said. Until he left. I fell silent. I used to think she forgave too much, he added. But she told me once, forgiveness isn't about weakness. It's about knowing you're strong enough to walk away if it happens again. I looked up. She forgave him? He nodded. Once. Not twice. I understood. And I wouldn't make the same mistake. Later that night, I opened my phone again and stared at the last message from Noah. You're the only thing I've ever been sure about. Don't walk away. I typed out one sentence. I already did. Then I blocked him. Not out of anger. But because I didn't need reminders of what I had escaped. I had finally chosen myself. And this time I wasn't looking back. If there's one thing about heartbreak, it's this. People assume you're devastated. They expect tears, sad playlists, late-night breakdowns, frantic replays of what went wrong. I gave them none of it. Because I wasn't heartbroken. I was relieved. And free. Noah, on the other hand, did not handle rejection with quiet dignity. He vanished from school, missed classes, skipped mock exams, and was seen at one of the city's rooftop bars, with Bella Morgan tucked under his arm. He hadn't even waited a week. It was her second Instagram post that caught everyone's attention. Lined up 3 times just to get the perfect picture of us in front of the honey jar ride honeypot 2 hearts. There they were. Noah, grinning stupidly, carrying her shopping bags like a trophy husband. Bella beaming beside him, cheeks flushed, hands forming hearts. My phone buzzed with screenshots. Emma, is this for real? You have to talk to him. Don't let him go like this. He's clearly acting out. You know he loves you. I ignored them all. Blocked one. Then another. And then another. Didn't matter if they meant well or were simply forwarding what Bella wanted spread. They were noise. I had a college entrance exam to ace. And a future to reclaim. Leo was at my side nearly every evening after school. You have to stop solving problems like a CEO, he said once, smirking over a practice paper. This is math. Not hostile negotiation. I rolled my eyes. Same principles. Efficiency, control, and no wasted moves. He laughed. Terrifying. And kind of hot. We studied side by side until midnight most nights. Scribbling notes, correcting each other, sharing snacks in silence. His energy balanced mine. Steady. Warm. Effortless. I'd never realized how peaceful companionship could feel. The exam week arrived like a final storm. 3 days. 5 subjects. An entire future hanging in ink and bubble sheets. On the last day, I turned off my phone, handed it to my driver and said, "Don't give this back until I've slept 12 hours. He nodded. I walked in. I didn't think of Noah. Or Bella. Or weddings that would never happen. I thought of the Sinclair boardroom. Of legacy. Of control. Of never needing a man's last name to validate my power. When I got my phone back, it was overloaded with missed calls and messages. Most of them from people I hadn't spoken to in weeks. The headlines. Noah Bennett's public confession outside Ava Sinclair's mansion. Of course. It was just like him. If he couldn't win me back privately, he'd try to put on a show. That afternoon, I glanced out my window to find a literal sea of candles and imported flowers spread across our front lawn. There he was. Noah Bennett. Dressed in a white suit holding a velvet ring box. Photographers had already gathered. Students too. Probably half the school. He was calling me. Repeatedly. Ava, come downstairs. There's a surprise. Please. The exam is done. No more drama. Let's start over. I wasn't even dressed. Still in my pajamas, hair in a loose braid. I walked downstairs casually. Just as I reached the entrance, Bella burst into the scene, breathless. She darted toward Noah, grabbing his arm. Noah, she panted. I just heard. Ava's not coming. She's been living with Leo Carter. They were probably up late last night, together. His entire body went rigid. He turned slowly. What did you say? Her lips trembled. They're probably still asleep. In the same bed. I just thought you should know. I stepped onto the porch, arms folded. Noah's head snapped toward me. His eyes, red-rimmed, wild, searched mine for denial. I said nothing. Leo appeared behind me, yawning, also in pajamas. His hair was messy, his t-shirt wrinkled. He paused on the steps when he saw the crowd. Noah lost it. He lunged at Leo with a roar, fist connecting with Leo's jaw. You bastard. You slept with her. My fiancé. Leo stumbled, caught his balance and swung back. They fell into a full-blown brawl. Fists, curses, chaos. I stepped between them. Enough. I shouted. Stop it, both of you. Noah wiped blood from his lip, voice shaking. Ava, how could you? I didn't, I said coolly. But the fact that you think I did, based on what she said, tells me everything I need to know. Bella, still standing nearby, looked petrified. I turned on her. And slapped her. Hard. She gasped, clutching her cheek. What are you doing? You've really mastered this act, haven't you? I said. The innocent girl. The victim. But tell me, Bella, how will you explain this manipulation to the police? Her face went ghost white. I didn't mean, I was just repeating what I heard. I laughed. From who? The voices in your head. Leo stood beside me now, jaw still red. She's lying, he muttered. I nodded. Of course she is. Noah turned toward me, eyes wide. Then, it's not true? I stared at him flatly. This is a multi-bedroom villa, Noah. Not your imagination where everyone shares one bed. His face brightened with hope. Ava. I cut him off. I forgot to mention. The engagement? It's over. Officially. Gasps. Noah staggered. You're joking. I'm not. You can't mean it. I do. He looked broken. The confident, composed air was gone. In his place stood a boy who thought he'd always be chosen. You think I'll wait forever, I said. But I won't. Not anymore. He clenched his fists. There's nothing between me and Bella. I laughed. Hot Springs. Disneyland. Handwritten notes on Instagram. You gave her the full girlfriend experience and want credit for technicalities. He fell silent. Leo slid his arm around me, light but possessive. Let it go, Bennett. No, looked like he might cry. A line of sleek Bentleys pulled up along the driveway. Grandpa stepped out first. His face was unreadable as he looked at Noah. Then he said to his aide, Take this boy back to where he came from. The aide nodded. Let's go home, Ava, Grandpa said. Leo gave a mock salute. Lead the way, sir. Noah didn't move. His parents arrived moments later, clearly summoned, and gently led him away. He looked back once. But I didn't. Inside, Leo collapsed on the couch, dramatically clutching his face. Do you think it's disfigured? Will I ever be beautiful again? I rolled my eyes and fetched the first aid kit. You're fine. As I dabbed antiseptic on the corner of his lip, he suddenly went quiet. You've got to make it official, he muttered. What? You told the world I've been living and eating with you. That basically makes me your man. You can't just leave me hanging like that. I looked at him flatly. Weren't you the one who said you had nowhere to stay? He pouted, a ridiculous sight on a 6 feet 3 inches broad-shouldered guy, and I cracked a laugh. You're ridiculous. You smiled, he whispered. You don't hate me. I leaned down and kissed him, short, sharp, soft. Does that answer your question? His eyes widened and then he kissed me back, clumsy but sincere. Okay, he said when we finally pulled apart. Now I believe it. I thought he'd finally let go. After the flowers, the confessions, the brawl on the lawn. But I should have known better. When someone's never been told no, they mistake rejection for rebellion. And to Noah Bennett, I had become a threat to be reasoned with, not a woman who had already walked away. A week passed. Leo and I found a rhythm. Mornings were for mock exams, evenings for walks or quietly cooking dinner together. He didn't hover. He didn't push. He didn't ask me to shrink myself so he could feel big. He simply stayed. One day as we left our university interview, we found Noah waiting by the gate. Disheveled. Eyes bloodshot. His suit was wrinkled and he smelled faintly of alcohol. Leo tensed beside me. "Oh, not him again," he muttered. "I want to talk to you," Noah said. I sighed. Sooner or later this conversation had to happen. I turned to Leo. "Give me 5 minutes?" Leo scowled but relented. 5. Not 6. He walked off toward the car, hands shoved in his pockets. Noah stepped closer. "Ava," he said hoarsely, "I've thought it all through. Anything Leo can do I can do. I've changed. I don't need anything else, just you." I stayed silent. He reached into his pocket and pulled out the velvet ring box again. The same one from the failed confession. "I was serious," he said. "I can't live without you." I studied his face. This wasn't the cold, polished air I used to know. This was a desperate boy clinging to a future that no longer existed. "I believe you mean it," I said quietly. "But it doesn't matter." His face fell. "Why not?" "Because I don't love you anymore." The words hung between us like an execution bell. Noah shook his head slowly. "But we said, since we were kids, we'd be together forever." "That was when we were children," I replied. "People change. And so have you." His voice cracked. "Ava, don't say that." I cut him off. "You let her cling to you. You let her insult me. You stood by her again and again. I was trying to make you care more. You used our engagement as leverage," I said. "That was when everything ended." I stepped past him. He chased after me. "You knew I didn't mean it like that. Why take it so seriously?" "Because you said it out loud," I snapped, turning back. "In front of people. Like you were testing me." He grabbed my wrist. "If you're not with me, then who? Leo? That orphaned, unwanted heir? He's not even." I pulled my hand free. "You're still clinging to class. To bloodlines. Still stuck in the fantasy that I need you to run the Sinclair group." He froze. "Let me remind you," I said, stepping closer. "My mother took over from my grandmother. And I will take over from her. There's no man required in this equation." "That's not how legacy works," he hissed. "It's not how your family has always done things." "Wrong again." My voice was sharp now, slicing through his illusions. "Legacy is built by those with the spine to claim it. I don't need a Bennett beside me to do that." He stared at me, stunned. "You really believed I'd come crawling back," I said. "That my family needed your name. Your presence. You were never the power, Noah." "I was." His expression flickered between disbelief and shame. Finally it snapped. His frustration boiled over. "With that attitude," he sneered, "no man will want you. You'll die alone." I didn't flinch. "That's none of your concern." Then Leo's voice rang out behind me, clear and cool. "She won't be alone. I'm all she needs." Noah stiffened. Leo walked toward us with a lunchbox in hand, like this confrontation was just another midweek errand. He stopped beside me and handed me the box. "Shrimp dumplings. Made them myself." I gave him a small smile. "Thanks." Then I turned back to Noah, calm and composed. "This conversation is over. You're making a mistake," he spat. "Then let me make it," I replied. Leo slid his hand into mine, fingers firm and warm. We walked away together. Behind us, Noah didn't move. He looked like someone who had lost a kingdom, only to realize he was never the rightful king. 2 weeks later, our exam results came out. Leo and I both got into university. I chose finance and investment. He stuck to computer science. As we walked out of the admissions office, a small crowd gathered outside. Among them Noah. He looked smaller now. Eyes dull, skin pale. He held a bouquet, again, but didn't move toward me. Leo noticed. "You want me to handle it?" he asked. I shook my head. "No need." Noah didn't speak. Just watched as I passed. The Ava he once knew, groomed to be his perfect match, was gone. In her place was someone stronger. Sharper. Unapologetically whole. Leo wrapped his arm around my shoulders as we reached the car. "What now?" he asked. "Now." I smiled. I build everything they thought I'd inherit, but better. He laughed. That's very Ava of you. Good, I said. Because I'm not toning it down for anyone. He reached for my hand and kissed it lightly. I like it loud. We drove off, leaving behind flowers, regret, and a boy who never really saw me. Some endings are loud. Fights, slamming doors, shattered glass. Others are quiet. They unravel slowly, strand by delicate strand, until you look down and realize the rope you clung to is already dust in your hands. That was what the end of Noah Bennett felt like. Not fire. Not fury. Just nothing. After the results were announced, Leo and I had one last thing to do. Submit our majors and finalize housing for University A. We walked out of the administration building together, sunshine spilling across the stone paths. His hand found mine instinctively. For a moment I let myself imagine the next chapter. Classes, case studies, late-night ramen, boardroom dreams. A life that was mine. I didn't notice the figure near the gate until Leo tensed beside me. Noah. His hair was messier than usual and he wore a hoodie instead of his usual pressed shirt. The proud sheen he used to carry, that invincible air persona, had dulled. He stepped forward slowly as if even he wasn't sure he should. Ava, he said softly. Please. Just hear me out. I glanced at Leo, who looked like he was one breath away from dragging Noah out of my life for good. It's okay, I said. Leo frowned. 5 minutes. 5, I promised. He reluctantly stepped aside. Noah exhaled as if just getting that much space from Leo was a victory. I've thought about everything, he said. Every mistake. Every word I didn't take back in time. I said nothing. I'm not asking you to forget it all, he continued. I want to fix it. You can't, I said calmly. It's done. He flinched. But I love you. I know, I replied. But I don't love you anymore. His face crumpled. You don't mean that. I do. Ava, please, he whispered. You said we'd be together forever. Since we were kids. That has to mean something. I looked at him. It did, I said gently. But that was a promise made between 2 children. And we're not children anymore. His hands trembled. We grew up together. We went through everything. And then you chose someone else, I said. Over and over again. No, he said quickly. That's not what I meant. I didn't. You don't get to rewrite it now, I interrupted. You had your chance. He fell to his knees like something inside him had finally snapped. Ava, I regret it, he said, voice cracking. I regret everything. I lost the only person who ever really knew me. Tears slid down his face unchecked. I'm sorry, he choked. I'm so sorry. I didn't know how to hold on to you. I stood there unmoving. For a moment I saw the boy I grew up with. The one who used to walk me home from school, who held my hand when I cried over my father, who told me the stars would always shine brighter for me. But that boy was gone. And he wasn't coming back. Time's up, came Leo's voice behind me. I turned and walked toward him without looking back. Noah didn't call after me this time. He just knelt there, whispering something only the grass would hear. Leo didn't say anything until we were halfway down the block. You okay? I nodded. I'm glad it ended this way. He glanced at me. Why? No screaming. No scandal. No regrets, I said. Just clarity. Leo reached for my hand. He still thinks you were the best thing that ever happened to him. He was wrong, I said. Leo blinked. I smiled softly. I was the best thing that ever happened to me. That night we had dinner at a small rooftop bistro overlooking the city. Leo cooked, again, despite his exaggerated protests. I'm not a chef, he muttered while flipping scallops. You can't hold me legally responsible if this tastes like shoe. It won't, I said. But I appreciate the drama. He grinned. All part of the charm. I watched him move around the tiny kitchen space he'd converted on the rooftop. He looked so at ease, like this was always where he was meant to be. When we sat down to eat, the city lights flickered beneath us. My plate was a little burnt. His hair smelled like garlic. And I had never felt more at peace. A few days later we moved into campus housing together. Not because we had to, but because we wanted to. Classes started the week after. Finance for me. Algorithms for him. I stood in front of my dorm mirror, adjusting my blazer and smoothing my braid. Leo stepped behind me, coffee in hand. Ready to become the woman they'll all try to recruit? I met his gaze in the mirror. Already am. He grinned and handed me the coffee. To new beginnings. I raised the cup. To never being second choice again. We left together hand in hand. On the way across campus, I passed a small group of students gossiping. They quieted when I passed just for a second, and then I heard one of them murmur, "That's Ava Sinclair. She's the one who called off the Bennett engagement. Can you believe it?" I didn't turn. Didn't flinch. Didn't need to. Because I had nothing to prove anymore. The sun was rising above the administration building, casting golden light over the fountain in the center courtyard. Leo squeezed my hand gently as we stopped to take it in. And in that moment I thought, they once told me I was lucky to be chosen by a Bennett. They thought I'd break when he gave my crown away. But I didn't need a crown. I built my own kingdom instead. The end.